Okay, in this recording, we're going to quickly go over the Making Connections micro PD presentation. As you see here, it opens up, and then to access the path or frame, you're going to go into the table of contents, and you can enter each of the frames, or you can go ahead to the path, and we have a path set up for the presentation as well. What the path does is it allows you to have this easy navigation pane at the bottom. So this first slide, we're just going to do a quick agenda. We're going to talk about why making connections in the classroom is important, how to facilitate making connections in Lucid. We're going to explore a couple of those making connections interactive activities, and then we're going to explore some templates. So first off, why is making connections in the classroom important? First of all, it helps students make sense of complex concepts and structures. It deepens understanding by linking their learning to past experiences, and it improves their retention by relating new learning to previous learning. So how does Lucid help facilitate this process? First of all, it helps to visualize the concepts and relationships, especially some of those more abstract concepts. It is a written record of student thinking. So when students are doing a partner talk or discussion or a think, pair, share, there's no written record for the teacher to review afterwards. So this gives the teacher an additional way to see how students are making those connections. It encourages active participations, especially in our students who are hesitant to participate in a discussion or to share out loud to the class. It scaffolds because there are a ton of templates that you can use to scaffold that connection process to guide them towards making connections. It teaches lifelong learning skills, and making connections is something that you're going to need to do throughout your career. And it easily helps students connect to each other in our collaborative experience, where they can be making connections and they can be looking through and making connections with what their other peers are thinking as well. So let's take a look at how this can be done in Lucid. So our first example are making connections in literature. This is actually coming from one of our Lucid educators. She uses Lucid to make family trees with her students in order for them to break down the relationships in the different literature that they are reading in class. So for example, she has created one for Romeo and Juliet, The Great Gatsby, The Crucible, and the Greek gods in preparation for reading the Odyssey. So when we go into one of these templates, you'll see that there is a blank template that you could send out to students. If you have an LMS integration like Schoology, Google Classroom, or Canvas, you can send it out and it'll easily make a copy for each of those students. There's also a completed example. This gives you a sneak peek of what it'll look like when it's done. And just make sure to right-click and delete that template before sending it out to the students. If you don't have an LMS, you can easily just share a view-only link to students, and then they can duplicate the document for themselves doing File, Duplicate. Or you could file, duplicate, and send each student their own copy depending on the grade level. Once you and the students have the document, the students can complete this on their own during their reading, or as the teacher, you could project it, and you could be completing this and modeling it for your students while at the same time they have it on their device and they are following along with you. In order to make updates and changes to the template, all you have to do is just double click and you can change the information for each of the text boxes. You'll also notice that there is a yellow lock. The template we have locked down by size and position, so that way the students are focused on changing the content and they aren't changing the font, the color, and all of that those additional items. The next example is making connections with concept maps. So in any of those different subject areas where you might be learning about complex concepts, you can help students to create concept maps in order to break down those concept ideas in a visual way that they can continue to refer back to solidify what they're learning. So for example, here, this teacher, they started in a blank Lucid chart document. The students pulled out their first box, which was for photosynthesis. And then as they were learning, they were pulling out and making connections and building that process for photosynthesis step by step together so that they could easily see the whole process visually in one place. In this example, the students used a yes-no chart in order to help them classify different types of rocks. And in order to make these concept maps, I'm just going to kind of quickly show you. I'm going to go into Lucid, my main Lucid dashboard. I'm going to create a new Lucid chart document. And then to create a concept map, all you do is pull out a shape or a flowchart shape onto your document, double click inside of it to write your text. And then the best part is you see these red circles. If you click and drag out from one of those red circles, you'll get the shortcut menu plus the arrow connection. So this allows you to quickly make your concept map without having to worry about formatting, because I know that can take a lot of time to move things around, connect them, and this does it right there for you as you're going. And if you want to color code this, all you need to do is just click on the box and you can use the paint can to color code your thinking. So easy peasy way to make a concept map. You will also notice if you go into templates, you can search for concept maps and they will have a couple templates that you could start from as well. Same thing with the Romeo and Juliet. If you search Romeo and Juliet, that graphic organizer and the whole Making Connections toolkit from Lindsay is right here for you to access as well. And our final example is our Making Connections collaborative template. You can access the template here, or you can also search collaborative Making Connections template, and you'll find that within the Lucid templates dashboard as well. But I'm going to click on this and it's going to automatically make a copy for me. And though there are a couple things I like to highlight for the collaborative Making Connections. So you'll want to obviously choose a topic that you're making connections on. I like to use Charlotte's Web as my example. So the students are reading Charlotte's Web, and then as they're reading, they're writing down connections with each other as a group, and they're connecting to their self, to other texts, and to the world. So as the students are reading, they'll say, what did you learn? So what is something they had from the book? Or if this is a concept, concept, they can write, what did they learn and what connection are they making? So for Charlotte's Web, I am going to write, I learned that spiders die after having their babies. What connection do I have? This made me sad and reminded me of when my pet goldfish died. And then to take this even further, they can make that connection. So I'm going to click on the connection I made. And as the teacher, you could pre-set up the tags. So I'm going to create a text to self tag. I'm going to create a text to text tag and a text to world tag. So now as the student, I can click on the tag and I select which one is this one. This one is a text to text. So it automatically tags that item. Then as other students come in and they're adding their connections, they might come over and add an emoji to respond to the other student's connection. So I'm going to put the sad face because that is sad and it also makes me sad. And the student could also add a comment saying, I agree. This also made me really sad and reminded me of when my cat died. So now you can see that they're not only connecting with the text, but they're also starting to make connections with each other about what they are learning in class. So that was a quick run through of the webinar presentation. I hope this helps.